Just before we get started, just want to again reiterate my respect for the Miami Heat, their program. They they went through a gauntlet before they played us, so we had a big advantage, big physical advantage. So it's pretty amazing what they did. As a 10th seed to win two playing games on the road, and then we had 7-8 days of rest. So and I always appreciate the class they play with. Win, lose, they don't play dirt. They don't play dirty. They're win with humility. When they lose, they're just a class program. Just utmost respect for their club, their coaching staff, players in that locker room.
Kenny, we talked before the game about how difficult closeout games can be. Obviously, this had a very wide margin of victory, and as both games down here did, how did you guys avoid complacency after building a 2-0 lead at home?
Great leadership. That first 5 minutes, I think Jared Allen, probably led by him, but led by our starters. And then, Dan, when our bench comes in, we don't skip a beat, right? We even, get stronger, So, but we came down here with the right mentality. And again, I just say our maturity, our leadership, all that stuff we've been talking about all year. We don't seem to have letdowns, and that's rare. It's just rare, with any team. We rarely have letdowns.
You mentioned in your opening statement the rest before the series. Now, taking care of business, you get that again going into the second round. How important is that
huge
for another playoff?
It's huge. I think, we'll see what happens. It gives us a day or 2 days. This is, looking big picture. Hopefully, we can extend this thing, but it'll it gives us another advantage. We've done our work early all year. Came out of the gate and played really well, and then getting this first seed. It's that's how you do it. That's if you're going to script it. This is how you do it. You try to get series over so you can get your rest and sleep in your own bed, and then you have some practice time too, and then heal the bumps and bruises.
Speaking of Jarrett, with his success rate in this series, is there anything that just stood out to you with him the last 4 games?
I mean, defensively, I thought he was phenomenal. His activity at the rim, but I thought, this is the first time I've really seen him extend his defense to the 3-point line. That was part of our scouting report. We got to pressure their bigs, because obviously we're top locking, hero. So if you do that, you have to have great pressure. So he's usually more back, playing lower, and I thought that was great. And then offensively, his ability to get out of the pick and roll. We were running a lot of small pick and rolls, so he wasn't involved as much as he usually is. But him running the floor, him playing the dunker, and then his timely rebounds, offensive rebounds. He had a great series.
Chris.
Hey, Kenny, there have been various points throughout the course of this year where you've said something along the lines of, I see a focus level with this team in practice and shoot around that kind of informs me of what's coming from the group. Did you sense that from this team earlier today at shoot around? Yeah.
But you never know. But again, Chris, it's like, led by Donovan and our kind of big four. Those guys set the right tone. Send the right message to the guys. I really don't have to say anything. It's all kind of been said amongst them before I get to my pregame speech or film. There's just a connection and a camaraderie, and our leaders kind of send the right message, and everybody kind of follows.
And then What was the adjustment that you made over the last two games to get DeAndre more involved in the offense?
That's a good question. We really didn't make any adjustments. I think it was just him kind of gaining more confidence and being more comfortable. Ty find him. Ty scoring actually helped because they started to blitz Ty, and then Drace found some catch and shoot threes, and once he saw a few go down, I think that just fueled him. And then I thought he was really good recognizing the cross matches and the mismatches in transition. Another guy, he had a phenomenal series.
Joe. So, as you remember, of course, when DeAndre got to Cleveland, he was all world for a month.
Yeah.
And then from mid-March to maybe up to the other day,
Yeah.
not as good. Did you ever get concerned that we wouldn't get back to the DeAndre that we had seen that the first month there?
My only concern was from my perspective, I'm kind of not finding the right, position for him to succeed. That's the first thing you look at, and am I relying too much on the other guys that I know? That's you always say that with a new guy, but Joe, I said this before. I think it was circumstances. Guy hadn't been home. We go on that hellacious road trip. He kind of gets off his routine. Doesn't have a place. He's staying in a hotel. I just think he got off, kind of off kilter, and where maybe in the beginning he was just coming in with adrenaline. So once he got back, kind of got his feet under him. He took off again. So I think a lot of it was circumstances.
And then I'm not trying to use your words against you. I know why you said it at the start of the series, but leading into this series, you were saying that playing the Heat, they're so tough, you're going to learn some things. You're going to be a better team because you had played against them, all those things.
Yeah.
And then you won the series by 122 points. I don't think that's ever happened in the NBA before. And so I guess the question just is, what did you learn in this series?
Well, I will say those first two games were close, right? Like we imagine if they get one of those games, and they could have gotten, they could have gotten both. I think Spo said the same thing. So, and maybe I'm being, super kind of paranoid or overthinking this thing. But those first two games could have gone either way. And so I thought we learned a lot about ourselves in those first two games because we had to, kind of fight through that. And then coming here was the mentality. Like you're on the road, especially game 3. I think that was, this game, whatever. I think game 3 was a big one, and we just came out and hit first and had a great mindset. So you learn, right? Every series you learn something. So I'll stand by that statement. When you play this team, this club, it was. I think it helped us get more battle tested.
Kenny, congrats.
Thank you.
I'd like to stop for 10 seconds and bring you back to mid-September, the end of September, in the very beginning of the season.
Yeah.
What memories do you have in your mind of those first days working with this group? And if in that moment you could imagine how is the team right now and at this level, at this moment,
Yeah.
the semifinals with this level?
Yeah. I think I've said this a couple of times, but after the first 2 days of training camp, all the coaches, we go in and we talk. We're just like, wow, like this team is so skilled. They're so together, and they compete like super hard. That was after 2 days of training camp. Like that was, but at no time did we say, hey. We're going to be the first seed, I remember we lost we lost the 4 exhibition games, right, and then going to Chicago and absolutely get right, like we couldn't keep up with them, and so it wasn't like, oh man, we got this great team, I know they say don't pay attention to preseason, but we're a little nervous, like what kind of what's going on here, but again, these guys know them, so they kind of have a pretty good confidence about themselves. But I didn't have that feeling after preseason.
Kenny, what does it say about this team that you guys can come to Miami for 2 games without Darius Garland and win those games back and find 92 points?
Yeah, I mean that's one of your all-star players. It just goes to show how deep we are, right? And Darius was out, but that gave Dean some more minutes. We could kind of tie more minutes, so just shows how deep we are. And legitimately deep, right? Like not, okay, man, this guy came out of the, rotation players that can really contribute to winning. I'm not sure there's any team in the league that can go that deep with so many rotation players. All right, thanks everybody.